everybody, my name is Kyle939. Welcome back to another video. Today, in this one, it's going to be another tier list video, and in this one, it's going to be my tier list on meta staple cards post Doom of Dimensions. Yeah, we have a shit ton of cards to talk about today. We have over 75 cards to talk about today, and again, this is post Doom of Dimensions, so we have new cards like the new Dogmatica card in here, the new Dominus card, Dominus Spiral. This is also post YCS Lille, as well as I now know what like the overall like standings of Lille and deck list are coming out for Lille, so I guess it's post YCS Lille as well, but it's more like post Doom of Dimensions. So yeah, without further ado though, we have a shit ton of cards, I think 75 cards to talk about. Let's actually get into the tier list, shall we? So our rankings are going to be most main decks, some main decks, most side decks, some side decks, and niche. So without further ado, let's get into the tier list, shall we? So we'll start off with the Charmy card. So Pirellia, I think will go into some main decks. I think Fua will go into most main decks, and I think Meowls sucks. I'm not gonna lie with you. Like Malice is leaving the format now. Fiendsmith isn't really there. Like Draco Tell doesn't summon from the graveyard. Yummy doesn't really need to summon from the graveyard either. Canine doesn't summon from the I guess like Lantern. Like you can get a draw out of this depending on certain decks. Ooh, the fuck did I just do? I don't know what the fuck I just did there. You can do some decks you can get a draw out of it. I'm gonna put this in niche. That might be a little controversial, but I honestly don't think this Charmy card is the greatest right now, so I'm going to put it in niche. Obviously, Fua is a most main deck card. This is like the most popular Charmy card in the game. It's actually probably one of the most popular non-engine in the game in general, just because it gives you a chance going second. It makes your opponent play weird. So yeah, Fua deserves to be in most main decks. Pirellia is one of those cards. It's either going to be in some main decks or it's going to be in most side decks, and there's really nowhere else it's going to be. A lot of people are main decking it. I'm one of those people that prefer to side deck it more than I do to main deck it, because in certain matchups it is just kind of dead. It maybe is just an upstart at best. Yes, upstart is still like good, but like, you know, you would want to get more value. Something like Fua makes it where, sure, if it's a one draw, that's fine, but it makes your opponent play weird. While with Pirellia, they can give you one draw and kind of still do their full combo, right? But this is still, yeah, for sure going to be in some main decks. For sure. Ash Blossom Enjoy a Spring. Fucking holy hell, do I hate this fucking card. I want to put this card down here. But a doobie stopping Charmy card, so it will be in most main decks, unfortunately. I am one of those people, I hate this fucking card with a goddamn passion. I wish I could not play this card. There are so many times when I know I'm going second, I will side out of this card just to make sure I don't draw it. But going first, it does be stopping Charmy cards. So you kind of do need to play it in most main decks. That's the only reason why Ash is even being played right now. If anything, like sure, against Dracotel, being able to Ash like Rahu or Ketu is kind of nice as well. But oh my god, do I want to just not play this card anymore? But you don't get that option because you have to stop the Charmy cards. If you don't have a way to stop the Charmy cards, you're in a bad position, right? So I think this, yeah, unfortunately, Ash does go to most main decks. Spooky Dogwood completely sucks now because of the new time rules. This doesn't no longer win you in time. So this is a very much niche card. It probably will never be played thanks to the new time cards or new time rules being in effect now. So fuck this card. Get the fuck out of here. Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Some main decks. This card is really, really good right now. Not only does it hit like the yummies, like being able to, their synchro summons to revive back, like snatch you from the graveyard, being able to Ghost Bell one of those effects are kind of insane. Same thing with like Ghost Belling a quick play spell, or the snatch, or what's it fucking called? Yummy Surprise. That was Ghost Bell Surprise or Ghost Bell Minion. It's like really good against Dracotel. Being able to like to Ghost Bell the trap cards to make sure they don't resolve is kind of insane as well. Like against against Mitsu, this is kind of just like a huge card. Even against Canine, like hitting Lantern is not bad. Like there's a lot of stuff that Ghost Bell hits in this format. So I do think you will be seeing this in some main decks. I don't know if it goes into most main decks, but it for sure goes into some main decks for sure. Ghost Oregon Snow Rabbit. I think this card is just falling off. I'm not going to lie with you. I like, this card is kind of terrible now. Like, I've never been honestly, I am a fan of Ghost Oregon because I played it back in when Yugioh was super popular. I think like in Snake Eyes format, this being able to hit like IP or Flamberge or not Flamberge, being able to hit the Desiree, Apolloza, or IP was kind of insane. But like in the recent couple of months when people were playing this card, I was not a fan of it. Like being able to hit Snatchy isn't terrible. Being able to hit like one of the field spells in Yummy isn't terrible. But against Draco Tail, what the fuck are you hitting in Draco Tail? This doesn't do anything against Draco Tail. K9, you can hit Ripper and hope to God they waste the negate on that, but like even then, that's not that great. Like this card isn't the greatest right now. To be honest with you, I'm going to put it in niche. That might be a little controversial, but fuck it. Fuck this card. I think this card's not good right now, so I am going to put it in niche. I think there's a lot more better playable hand traps in the format right now that's not Ghost Orb. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Surprisingly enough, goes to some side decks. It's usually a card that goes into niche for me, but some side decks, because there are some people that are like, I want to stop Yummy, so guess what? I'm going to put a Snatchy in my extra deck, go Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, get rid of your Snatchy. All of a sudden, your Yummy deck is now unplayable. Now, that is a little bit worse, because if they can get to the field spell and graveyard, they can cycle back one of their Snatchies from the banished area and then play from there, but that requires them to have a lot in the opening hand. And same thing against Draco Tail, being able to, you know, Winter Cherries, the Atheline is really insane because, you know, that's like the main card for the deck. Against K9, there really isn't like a good target. Like a Mitsu does not give a shit about its extra deck. If you're scared of Liger Dancer and Lunalight, like being able to Ghost Reaper a Liger Dancer to make sure you never have to worry about that card, also a thing you can do if you want as well. So I think it's not terrible. Like it's not as good as like up here, but I honestly don't think it's that bad. So I'm gonna put it in some side decks. Effect Veiler. Also goes into some main decks. I'm always been a hater of this card. Always have been, always will be. I do hate Veiler, but it is good in Draco Tail. So I think this is a card you do play in Draco Tail. Like even in Yummy, like they play 20 hand traps, so you might as well throw Veiler in there as well. It's not bad, this format. Even though I am a hater of this card, not a bad card. I do like this card. In this format specifically, I do like this card, but that's because I'm a Draco Tail player, so I can't really play Imperm, so I have to play Veiler instead. Speaking of Infinite Impermanence, it's a good card. It for sure goes into most main decks. This is probably one of the better hand traps. Like you always want to have your hands on Imperm. Again, one of the few decks that can't use it is Draco Tail because they kind of need their non-engine to be monsters. But pretty much every deck is going to be playing Imperm because not only does it act as a hand trap, it also acts as a board breaker. Being able to like draw as their 6th card and being able just to Imperm one of their negation tools is good enough for you. So I like Imperm is really good to be in most main decks. Droll and Lockbird. You would feel like this card wouldn't be that popular in this format, but it kind of is. I wouldn't say it's a main deck worthy card, but I think it is a most side deck card. As you can see from the past weekend of not only YCS Lille, but YCS Lima, there's a lot of Mitsurugi running around. There's Lunalight that this card also hits. By technicality, there's like Mitsurugi Yummy that's been popping up around. Droll and Lockbird punishes that pretty hard. Any K9 variant, Droll and Lockbird kind of goes hard against as well. So I think it's one of those cards, even though it's kind of fallen off in the recent couple of weeks, I do think you have to put this in your side deck. I think Droll is good enough to be in the side deck right now. I really do like Droll just because it does hit the Mitsu. It hits a lot of the more Roger type of decks, right? It doesn't hit K9, it doesn't hit Draco Tail, it doesn't hit Yummy per se, but you know, against any other deck, it does have some good value. So I think it deserves to be in most side decks for me. Nibiru, the Primal Being. This is one of those cards I think still is going to be in some main decks. Yeah, like Draco Tail obviously is going to be one of those decks that play this. Nibiru's not bad, especially against like Yummy. Being able to hit our Nibiru before they get to Herald of the Arclight is very insane because that's an Omni Negate. That is also a floodgate that they can protect. So if you're able to Nibiru them before they get to the Herald, it makes it so much harder for them to try to get back to Herald and then still also out Nibiru. Because if they get to Herald but don't out Nibiru, then you can just go battle attacking to the Herald, right? So yeah, I think this deserves to be in some main decks just because of that reason. Against Yummy, it's pretty good. Against Draco Tail, it's not the greatest. Against Mitsu, it's not the greatest. Against Lunalight, it's okay. But I think in the Yummy matchup, it is really insane. So I do think it deserves to be in some main decks. Dimension Shifter. This card sucks. Well, it doesn't suck, but it is being played. I hate that this card is still at 1. Honestly, it should be a card that should be banned, so I don't ever have to worry about talking about this card ever again. But I think it does deserve it in some main decks. The few decks that can play this are going to main deck this card because it is just a powerful floodgate. If this card gets activated, you are just in a better position if you are a deck that doesn't lose to Shifter, right? So I think this, if you're going to play it, it's going to be in the main deck for sure. Gamma, I hate that Gamma is just at 1. If Gamma was a little bit better, I would love it in the main deck. But since it is at 1, I do believe you have to, like, some side decks might be playing it. Same thing with Lambda. Like, a lot of people are going like 2 Lambda, 1 Gamma, so that's like your 3 Gamma package plus the 1 driver by technicality. So that is something you could see in some side decks. Is it the greatest? It depends on the format, depends on what spells you're trying to hit, because Lambda is probably the more often one you're going to draw. Again, I do love Gamma a lot, but Gamma is at 1. That is unfortunately the problem. K9 Azuna. So this is like the hand trap. So not the deck, but just Azuna plus Lupus. So that's what this is going to be for. I do believe this is going to be some main decks. I don't know. It's kind of fallen off because if you do verse Yummy, you are in a rough position because Yummy never really plays into Azuna because there is no card that activates her hand or graveyard. There technically is one now. Marshmallow now activates in the hand because for some reason they made that card activate in the hand. So if they activate Marshmallow, you could activate Azuna. But I think in every other matchup, it is live. Against Dracotail, it's going to be live. Against K9, it's going to be live. Against Mitsu, it's going to be live. Against Lunalight, it's going to be live. Like every other deck besides Yummy, this card is live against. But against Yummy, it just feels like one of the worst hand traps in the game because obviously Yummy doesn't have a card that plays into this card that much. So it also requires like an extra deck. So if your extra deck is kind of tight, this really isn't in the conversation of stuff. But I still think this is like a decent hand trap, especially being able to make that XYZ untargetable because of Lupus effect and going into like a Zeus could just be like an OT, or it could be over for some decks, right? The new Dogmanica card. Dogmanica, I forgot the name of it. This is the one that if your opponent activate a monster effect this turn, it can set a Dogmatica trap from the graveyard, and if your opponent controls a extra deck monster with 2,500 or more attack, then it can activate this turn, which is kind of cool. I do like the idea of this card. I really do, but I really don't think there's a deck that can take advantage of it right now, besides like Labyrinth and Mitsu, and that's it, right? Because obviously, the Punishment is really the only good Dogmatica trap card in the game that's worth setting off this card, so unless you're playing like a pure Dogmatica deck, that doesn't necessarily matter. But in Labyrinth, it's kind of cool because you don't necessarily need your extra deck. Against Mitsu, also doesn't sound that bad because Mitsu doesn't really need its extra deck either. But compared to what other hand traps are doing right now, and also the fact that your opponent has to control a 2,500 or more attack monster on the field for that punishment to be activatable straight away, kind of makes it where I think it's more niche. Like against Yummy, it's like pretty much dead, right? Like you just set punishment and hope to God they can't like or pop the punishment, right? So I think this is probably just a niche card for now, but I do think it has potential. So do keep an eye out on this card because I do think it does have potential. Herald of the Arclight. Did I say Arclight? Orange Light. Sorry, that's the name of this card. There isn't really a fairy deck in the format, so I'm going to put this in niche. Artifact Lancia! Thank the fucking Lord! I can put you in niche now. Thank God. Malice is now out of the format by technicality. There might be some players still playing Malice, but I think it's very unpopular enough where you don't have to run Lancia in your side deck anymore. This was kind of one of those things for the past fucking, 9 months now? Has it been 9 months? Damn, it's been that long, huh? That you had to, like, this was a mandatory side deck card, but now you can take it out of your side decks. Maybe you'll still see it in some side decks against Lunalight. Against Lunalight, it is kind of crazy, right? Because being able to prevent, like, the Wolf Banish or the Masquerade Banish to try to get into the Lunalight Liger Dancer does kind of help. So against Lunalight, it isn't terrible, but I think there are better stuff you can be planning for Lunalight that makes Lancia just a niche card for now. So yeah, thank God Lancia is out of the format. Chaos Hunter is kind of the same thing as well, so I'll put niche as well because again, Malice is out of the format. Again, you can make an argument for some side deck for these cards. You can. I'm not against that. Like you could argue that some side decks still play these cards in their side deck, but I'm going to put it in niche because fuck these cards. I'm glad these cards are out of the format. Bestials. I think it's fine to be in some main decks for now, because not only does it hit the Yummy cards, right, being able to like hit like a minion target or being able to hit a Snatchy in the graveyard is pretty good, But it also hits Mitsu, which is always a plus, right? It still has a good, like, Luna Light matchup. Like, being able to prevent, like, a Leo Dancer from being in Graveyard does matter in that matchup. So, I think Bestials do belong in some main decks. Now, obviously, it's terrible against K9. Like, there are some targets using K9, but it's not the greatest against K9. And, it's absolutely awful against Dracotel. They have, like, one dark and one light. Like, maybe banishing a Molulu is okay. But like maybe if you're versing the branded version of Dracotel, this is valuable. But I still think it's worth to put in some main decks. Skullmeister! Shout out to Genesis format, but this isn't Genesis format, so yeah, you deserve to go into niche. DD Crow, you're the same thing, Genesis format. But you're actually better. I think this you can make an argument for DD Crow in this format because it still has the benefit of a Bestial, but you can also hit spell cards off of this. So being able to hit like a Ritual or Mitsurugi Ritual is kind of nice, like banishing Minion and then trying to negate the Marshmallow. Even though Marshmallow is good, if you can go like DD Crow Minion and then go Marshmallow effect to try to add it back and being able to like imperm that card still is really good. Like being able to DD Crow like any like a Femina in Graveyard, if they try to add back Femina off of Urgula's effect, that's kind of crazy as well. So DD Crow does have a lot more uses as well. Bestial is better, I think, in my opinion. I like the Bestials better because it does get you that body. But DD Crow has the versatility of being able to hit more stuff, unlike the Bestials. So you can make an argument of which one is better, but I think both deserves to be in some main decks. Token Collector, there's nothing summoning tokens, so I'm sorry, they're yeah, niche. Dominus Impulse. So yeah, you deserve to go into some main decks as well. I think my camera might be blocking off. No, we're good, we're good. So Dominus Impulse is really good because it can be used in Mitsu and Luna Light. Now, those are really the only decks that can use Impulse. Odeon can use it as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. No, can it? I think I'm wrong. I think it's Purge that Odeon can use. But Impulse is still an insane card. If you're a deck that can use this card, you're going to use it. And that's why Luna Light and Mitsu still play it, because it is an absolutely ridiculous card. So that for sure goes in some main decks. Same thing with Purge. It's kind of just the opposite. Now, Purge is a little bit worse than Impulse, but Purge is still there. Nice, right? So Yummy can still play this card. You know, Odeon can still play this card. Blue Eyes, by technicality, can play this card. So this deserves to be in some main decks as well. Songs of the Dominators. This is really only playable in Yummy if you're playing the board breaker version of Yummy, and that's it. That's really the only version, and a lot of people are preferring to play the hand trap version of Yummy, not the board breaker version. So Songs isn't as popular as you think it would be right now. Even though I think it is a decent card, it does require the deck to use it, and really the only deck that can use it is the pure Yummy or the board breaker Yummy deck. By technicality, I think RB can also use it because there's not that many monsters that trigger in the graveyard, so that's something you could do as well. But RB isn't really the greatest thing in the world right now, so I don't know. I really want to put this here. But the fact that there's only really one deck that can use it, and even that one deck isn't really using it right now, I'm going to put it at the top of niche. Even though I do like this, you're not going to side deck a card like this, so I think this deserves to be at the top of niche. I do understand this card is playable in this format, but it's only in specifically one deck, and that one deck is preferring not to play it right now. So I'm going to put it in niche, but I do understand that this card is better than a lot of the cards we're talking about right now. Dominus Spiral. I don't think this card's good. I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably one of the worst Dominus cards. Like, they probably understood that Impulse and Purge was really, really broken. And same thing with Songs. It was kind of like nearly there. So they put a lot of restrictions on this card, and it's not great. And honestly, them putting as many restrictions as you can, like your opponent has to activate a monster from hand or graveyard to do this. It also has to, you know, if he doesn't have it, it's a Compulse, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. Compulse is cool. But if you don't have a trap card in graveyard, they can just respecial a monster from the graveyard, which pretty much makes it ineffective. So it's not really the format. There isn't like an extra deck monster you want to bounce back to make sure they don't have access to, right? So I think this is really bad. So I'm gonna put this like down here. I think it's like down like right over here. Like Spiral is not good. I want to like this card, but there's just so many restrictions on it that I can't like the card. Rescue Ace Impulse, another Genesis format shout out. But you're also not good in the TCG format, so there's just Charmies in the game, that's why. But in Genesis format, you're good because you have 0 cost, but that's kind of cool. Phantasme. Honestly, I'm going to put this in most side decks. I think that's probably fine. You could probably argue for it to be in some side decks. I like the implications of it being in the Yummy matchup, being able to summon out Phantasme. A lot of things target in the Yummy deck, so being able to use its second effect to make sure that you can negate a card that targets it is kind of cool. I do like the idea. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest. I'm gonna actually put it at the top of some side decks. I think there are better cards in it, but I do like the idea of Phantasme. But you have to also think, what? Dracotail isn't really link summoning that much. They can, but they're not doing it as much. K9 isn't really going to be link summoning. Mitsu could by technicality do it, but they also are one of those decks they don't really have to either. So like, I don't know. It's okay. I think some side decks is probably fine. Singularity Fiend is in niche. I like the idea of this card. It just, there isn't a format, right? This isn't the format, or there isn't really a deck that can take advantage of it. Contact C, it's okay. I think it's fine to be in some side decks. The only problem with this is there's things like SP, like there's a lot of generic links still that makes it this card isn't the greatest. But if you verse Yummy exactly, this card is okay, being able to make sure they can't link off. If they link off into an SP, it locks their extra monster zone into SP only, because SP doesn't point down, so it makes them a lot harder to play. But I think there's just better things than Contact C, to be honest with you. So I still think it's good. So I think I'm gonna put it in some side decks, but I think there's just better stuff. Retaliating C, I do think will be in most side decks. Not only is it a good out to Dracotail, but it's also like against Lunalight, it has implications against as well. Against the Mitsurugi, it has implications as well. Now, it isn't the greatest against Mitsurugi, because the Mitsurugi cards don't necessarily care if they're banished, because they can still trigger as long as they are tributed. But it is something to worry about in that deck. But against Dracotail, it kind of is like a turn killer, right? Because all the fusion names have to be sent to the graveyard for them to trigger, which is very unfortunate. So that this makes it where Macro is very insane. So, and even against Lunalight, being able to, like, if they activate Poly, which is going to happen in that deck, right? Being able to Retaliating C, that makes it where they can't really activate Lunalight monsters in the graveyard. It gets monsters out of the graveyard for something like Wolf can't banish either. So, like, it does have an implication in this format, so I do think it is going to be in most side decks. Marionette Might, or any card that's like Marionette Might, that's a monster that discards itself to snatch steal a certain type, I think is a niche. Crossout Designator, I think is not good, to be honest with you. I think it'd be in some side decks, because if people are scared of Fuwa enough, they're, crossouts for that reason. But the fact that it's at 1 and there's a lot of non-engine to be going around right now, I think this deserves to be in some side decks. Called By, on the other hand, I think this deserves to be in some main decks. You could probably argue most main decks. Like, Called By is like really, 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 really good in this format. So I'm actually going to put that in most main decks. I really do like Called By. Sales Band is going to be in some side decks, and it's only going to be in the side decks that Droll, like, really kills your deck, then you're probably just going to put Sales Band against. But that's really the only thing I can see it as. Even like going second isn't really like going second is okay, but I don't know. I think there's just better stuff, to be honest with you. So I think it's still good to be in some side decks, but each to their own. It's not for me. Triple Tactics Talents is kind of one of those one-ofs that I think you probably main deck if you're going to play it. If you're going to play it, you probably main deck it. But if you're not going to main deck it, you probably don't play it. But again, I think this deserves to be a most main deck. Talents is crazy. There's a reason why it's limited to 1 right now, so deservedly so to be in most main decks. My God, we still have a lot of cards to talk about. I apologize. I know this has been a long-ass video so far. Oh my God, we're already at 23 minutes. I need to hurry up. Triple Tactics Thrust, I think, is a most side deck card. Honestly, they should have hit this card. In my opinion, I think this card should be at 1 because it is doing some degenerate shit. People going Thrust to set a Floodgate is just not good for the game, in my opinion. But it does exist, so I think it will still be in most side decks for sure. And even like going second, being able to search like a Talents or anything like that is cool. So like it's going to be in most side decks for sure. Fenrir, also kind of on the same thing. I think Fenrir deserves to be in most side decks, especially in like the Dracotail. Like Dracotail is for sure siding Fenrir right now. Fenrir is like in a good position. It's been a little bit since Fenrir has been in a good position, but now it's in a good position. So I do like where Fenrir is at. Pankratops, it's a little bit worse, but they're still like against the Yummy matchup is still pretty decent. So I'm going to put it in some side decks. I'm going to put it like there is fine. Lava Golem, I also think goes into some side decks because Lunalight is a problem. So I think people will try to figure out ways to out Lunalight monsters. And the problem is with Liger Dancer, they can make 2 of them on their turn. So that's where it makes it where Golem can out both of them, right? But the problem with Golem is you don't get your normal summon. But I still think this will get side deck. I don't know if it's going to go to most side decks. It's getting there. But I think this deserves to be in some side decks. Kaiju, the problem with the Kaiju is, like, obviously it's good against the Liger Dancer. But the problem is you only get to tribute 1. So if they end on 2 Liger Dancers, you're kind of in a fucked position, unfortunately. So I think the Kaijus are probably a little bit lower than Lava Golem, but it's still there, right? Kurikara, also not the greatest in the world. I think the problem with Kurikara is they have to activate Liger Dancer first for you to activate the Kurikara on it, right? So that's the reason why I don't like Kurikara, is because they have to play into the Kurikara before you can trigger the Kurikara. Unlike the Kaiju and Golem, where you can just activate it or just summon it straight away. The book cards, I think Book of Eclipse, it deserves to be in most side decks. Like against Yummy, being able to book a moon, everything is kind of cool. Against Dracotail is pretty much dead. Against Canine, it's actually very live against Canine. Being able to book everything in the Canine deck is kind of insane. Mitsu, it's okay against Lunalight. If they get the Liger Dancer, it's pretty much dead. But I still think this deserves to be in both side decks. A Book of Moon is pretty much worse, to be honest with you. I think this actually goes into niche. That's how terrible Book of Moon is in a position right now. Forbidden Droplet. I like Droplet. I really do. I believe that this deserves to be in some main decks, to be honest with you. I really do like Droplet. I like it where it's in its current position. I think the only problem with it is there's a lot of non-engine to be going around right now. So not that many people not be playing Droplet, but I do like Droplet. So I'm going to put it in some main decks. Forbidden Chalice, like, this is randomly, like, I know Triff's topping list played this, but I also don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, to be honest with you. I think, like, Droplet is just, like, there's just better stuff in my opinion. So I'm going to put this in some side decks. I don't even think, this is one of those cards you probably main deck it or you just don't play it. But I'm going to put it in some side decks. I'm going to put it down here. Dark Ruler No More. I'll put it in some side decks. I guess people might be scared enough of Yummy, but even that, like, it's okay. Like, I don't know. This is another Genesis format shout out. This card's insane in Genesis format, but I think in this format, it really isn't the greatest in the world. But you might still see it in some side decks. Super Poly, however, I'm gonna put it in most side decks. There are people main decking this card, so you could argue for this to be in some main decks, but I'm gonna put it in most side decks because Super Poly is good. Being able against the Yummy matchup, they all just end on light, so Mud Dragon or Garua will be live. Against Dracotail, the Secretarian Dragon is a very good Super Poly target for that deck. Against Mitsu, they're both dark, so, you know, Garua or, like, Starving Venom comes into mind. Lunalight, again, if Lunalight goes full combo, none of these board breakers are really doing anything against. That's the problem with Lunalight. You have to either hand trap them or golem them or kaiju them, because none of the board breakers are really going to do anything against it. Ultimate Slayer, this is okay. Another Genesis format shout out, but not really the greatest in the format right now. So I'm going to put this in some side decks. Gordian Slicer, also one of those things. I think it's better than these cards at least. Gordian Slicer, it depends. Like, maybe Pure Mitsu can use this card, but it is a really good card. But not every deck can use it because it does banish from the extra deck or your hand. So you kind of have to play with either one card combos or banish your extra deck. If your extra deck's worthless, then that isn't a problem. But that is just something to think about. Metal Tronus. Also, one of those cards, I saw, like, Triff was main decking this card, and he did win YCS Lima, but I also I'm going to put it in some side decks. This is one of those cards, like, I do love this card, but it also depends on the format, right? If there's a lot of diversity in the format, then this card gets a little bit worse because you can't really prepare for everything. But if there's only 1 or 2 decks in the format, then you can play this card because then you just plan for those 2 decks, and then this card becomes a little bit more live. Heralds of the Abyss, I'm sorry, is not good. Like, this is only, again, good against Lunalight, but if they end on 2 Liger Dancers, it can't out both Liger Dancers. So I'm actually going to put this down in niche. That's how bad I hate that card. Ghost Orc should be up here, by the way. Ghost Orc is really good. Mind Control isn't the greatest in the world, to be honest with you. Like, all the Change of Heart cards aren't the greatest right now, so I'm going to put them all in niche. Econ, another Genesis format shout out, but it's really only good in Pure Mitsurugi. If you're not playing Pure Mitsurugi, this card is absolutely terrible. So I'm going to put it up here as in I know there is a deck that can play this, but no other deck is going to play it besides that one deck, right? Regeki and Dark Hole, I'll put this in some side decks, but I honestly don't think they're the greatest in the world. Cosmic Cyclone, another Genesis format shout out, but there's just better things than it. Like Feather Duster and Lightning Storm are just better, so I'm going to put this in niche. I'm going to put it like here, I guess is fine. Lightning Storm deserves to be in most side decks. Same thing with Feather Duster as well. Evenly Matched is one of those cards, like, you can argue it's most side decks, but you can also argue it's in some side decks, to be honest with you. I don't know where exactly to put it. I'll probably put it down here in some side decks, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a fine enough position. Like, right there is fine. D-Barrier, fuck this card. Can they ban this card, please? Why the fuck is this card still legal? Why the fuck is this card still legal? Especially with Thrust at 3. What the fuck? Yeah, obviously this goes to most side decks. Daruma, it's cool, but I think there's better Thrust targets, to be honest with you. So I'm going to put it down here. DDG, it's okay. Like, you might see some decks play this because, you know, it is a good floodgate. But I think a lot of people are just going to be on D-Barrier more than they are going to be on DDG. But I'm still going to put in some side decks. Solemn Judgment is now at 1. This is usually a card I put in most side decks. But now that it is at 1... I'm actually going to put it in some side decks. I'm going to put it like at the top of some side decks. Because it's still Judgment, by the way. Judgment is still insane. But it is at 1 now. So you can't play more than 1 copy. So I'm going to put in some side decks. Strike, kind of the same scenario. Warning, kind of the same scenario. Anti-Spell, I think, goes into most side decks, to be honest with you. I do like... I'm actually going to put Strike up here. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I think Judgment's really good, but the fact that it's at 1, I'm going to put it there. I think Warning is actually just cope, though. I really don't like Warning. Anti-Spell, I think, also deserves the most side decks because, fuck this card. Why does this Floodgate still exist? Skill Drain is in a really bad position right now. I'll put it at, like, the bottom of some side decks. Tikaboo, I think, goes into some side decks. Like, there's very rare scenarios of this Floodgate. Like, again, like Pure Canine, it's good, but not every deck can take advantage of it, so I'm going to put it at 1. Rivalry of Warlords, I guess Yummy can play this Floodgate if they really want to, but I don't know. I'll put this in some side decks as well. And Goes in Match, it's kind of the same scenario there. It's going to be in some side decks as well. So that is my list. I apologize. Oh my god, 30 minutes. Holy shit, I apologize. So this is my list here. So most main decks, I got Fula, Ash, Imperm, Called by Talents. Some main decks is pretty much depending on what deck you are playing. Pirellia, Valor, Ghost Bell, Nib, Shifter, Canine, the Zuna, Lupus package, the Bestials, DD Crow, Impulse, Purge, and Droplet. Most side decks, I have Droll, Retaliating Sea, Thrust, Fenrir, Book of Eclipse, Super Poly, Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, D-Barrier, Anti-Spell, and Solemn Strike. Some side decks, I have Judgment, Tikaboo, Rivalry of Warlords, Goes in Match, Solemn Warning, Phantasme, Contact Sea, Evenly Matched, DDG, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, Lava Golem, Pinkertops, Gamma, Lambda, Sales Band, Crossout, any Kaiju, Kurikara, Guardian Slicer, Forbidden Chalice, Dark Ruler No More, Ultimate Slayer, Mellotronus, Regeki, Dark Hole, and Skill Drain. And in niche, I have Songs of the Dominators in Econ. Now, I know there are decks in the format that can take advantage of it, but I'm going to still put it in niche because not every deck can play it. And even in Song scenario, the one deck that can play it isn't really playing it right now. Meows, honestly, this might be controversial, but I do like it there because I honestly don't think this Charmy is really that good. Dominus Spiral, Cosmic Cyclone, Book of Moon, Ghost Org, Daruma Cannon, Herald of the Abyss, Spooky Dogwood, the new Dogmatica card. I think this has potential, but I don't think it's the format right now. Herald of the Orange Light, Chaos Hunter, Lancia, Skullmeister, Token Collector, Impulse, Singularity Fiend, Marionette Might, Mind Control, Change of Heart, and Snatch Steal will end the niche list there. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.